Hello, in today's episode, we will be talking about the importance and the methods of introducing pre-number concepts to children newly diagnosed with autism. So first, before getting into more detail, let's have a look at what pre-number concepts are. Essentially, pre-number concepts are the basic building blocks that children should essentially acquire before they get into learning higher mathematical reasoning. So, as the name suggests, pre-number concepts are taught to children before they are introduced to numbers. This is because it helps them to get a better understanding of the logic that they require in order to do mathematical reasoning. Now, pre-number concepts essentially include classification, identification, differentiation, and comparison. All of these are done through various techniques like matching, patterning, ordering, etc. so that children can compare various data sets on the basis of certain specific values. So, once children are fully thorough with the concept of pre-number concepts, children will be able to then go on doing higher mathematical reasoning without much effort. Let's now take a look at the importance of teaching these pre-number concepts to our children. To begin with, pre-number concepts help children to understand mathematics in their daily life without actually having to do mathematics. Second of all, pre-number concepts make math fun and interesting as opposed to the typical notion that mathematics is a difficult subject. Pre-number concepts also help children to get a proper sense of numbers, because pre-number concepts help children to quantify numbers and have a visual depiction of numbers, which will help them to understand the concept of numbers much better. Also, pre-number concepts are very helpful in teaching children to differentiate and identify same or different objects. Now, moving to the next point, pre-number concepts are very helpful in teaching children to quantify and make comparisons of different sets of data based on a specific given criteria. Children also learn to compare data based on height or weight. Moreover, pre-number concepts are very helpful in helping children to develop their spatial awareness, because a lot of the activities that are given include or expect the child to look at the spatial aspect of various objects in order to complete the task. And last but not the least, as has been told before, pre-number concepts are very helpful in teaching children the basic building blocks that they require in order to learn higher mathematical reasoning. Now that we've understood what pre-number concepts are and why they are important for our children, let's look at the various techniques that we use in order to impart this concept to the children. To begin with, let's look at matching. Matching involves teaching children the concepts of similarity and difference in objects. So this would require children to first understand the concept of same objects. Once this is grasped, they will then be able to use that as a basis to learn about different objects. For children with autism, matching is very useful in developing one-to-one correspondence, as it helps in associating the idea of looking at objects and pictures one by one at a time. It is also helpful in improving their memory, attention span, and their focus. Is sorting. Sorting as a concept develops from the conceptual understanding of differentiation and being able to distinctly distinguish between objects or pictures. Once children are able to see differences and similarities, they will be able to classify objects based on these attributes. For children with autism, sorting stimulates grouping and object-to-number correspondence. They are able to associate value with objects and then make classifications based on these value differences. This sort of association takes time to build, and through gradual increasing levels of sorting activities, these concepts are made more accessible to the children. Elimination. Through the processes of matching and sorting, children are made familiar with classification of objects or pictures on the basis of certain values or criteria. Elimination as a concept builds one step over this foundation by allowing children to identify the odd one out in a given set. Children are made to identify the object or the picture that does not belong to the given set, and then they are made to eliminate it from that set. For children with autism, this technique improves their visual memory and their visual processing. This in turn improves their attention span and their attention for detail. We now move on to comparison. Learning to compare is a basic skill that children acquire from a very small age. They understand comparisons through daily life activities, but they do not associate values or labels to it. Through pre-number activities, children begin to associate values to comparisons like big and small, full and empty, short and tall, etc. These object or picture comparisons form a base for further number-oriented mathematical comparisons. For children with autism, for example, comparison helps in developing memory, wherein they learn to retain information that is necessary to assert differences and similarities. Finally, ordering and patterning. Ordering and patterning as concepts basically involve the application of a combination of the previous pre-number concepts. Once children learn to compare, they then learn to put objects or pictures or numbers in a certain order. They then learn to count as well as sort through orders to pattern objects or pictures or numbers based on criteria like size, shape, length, quantity, etc. They learn to apply concepts together and hence create patterns as well. This helps children with autism with their visual processing, with their memory, and with their visual spatial processing. All in all, a combination of all of these techniques help children to concentrate better, focus better, and increase their sitting tolerance and attention span. So now, let's look at why it is important to teach pre-number concepts to children who have been newly diagnosed with autism. For starters, the plasticity of the human brain is at its highest during our formative years, that is, up to the age of 5. What is the plasticity of the brain? In layman terms, it means that the capacity of the brain to create new information is at our highest when we are in our formative years. Therefore, early intervention is that primary stepping stone that later will translate into our cognitive and executive functioning over the later years. Now, research has also suggested that the neurotypical human brain requires an ample amount of training and practice before it is able to properly retain information. Therefore, the brain requires an ample amount of training to restructure and structure information inside it. This implies that the autistic child will require ample amount of training so that the child is able to create new information and understand new information. Research suggests that the neurotypical human brain requires significant training and practice before it is able to properly retain information. That is, the brain goes through significant amount of organization and reorganization before it is able to concretize concepts. This obviously signifies that children with autism need a lot of time before they are able to concretize concepts, and that's why it is extremely important that children who are newly diagnosed are taught pre-number concepts at an early stage. Research has also suggested that children who get intervention before the age of 3 yield higher results than children who get intervention after the age of 5. This is a significant marker that includes the importance of giving children who have been newly diagnosed with autism training at an early stage. If your child is given training at an early stage, it will help to develop the child's cognitive and executive functioning at later stages in their life. For children with autism, pre-number concepts are taken first by teaching them using real-life objects. Once children have mastered these concepts using real-life objects, they are then made to do the same using pictures. And once the children are thorough with pictures, we can then move on to associating these operations to numbers. And then children will be able to acquire higher mathematical concepts.